Hello and welcome to the Be Glad movement. My name's Pollyanna and I'm on a mission to bring you as many stories as possible of good coming out of bad and reasons to be glad. And today I'm joined by Fenella. Hello, Fenella.
Hi there, Pollyanna.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to just sit back and let you tell your story. So over to you.
Okay, so yeah, hi, my name's Fenella Hemus and I'm a personal coach. So I'm really into empowering people who have probably got quite stuck in their lives. And I'm absolutely passionate about whole health and wellness. And anyway, most of my life I have actually been pretty interested in being healthy, being fit, doing nutrition and stuff and things like that, not in the way that I am now. And I think I've spent a lot of my life challenging things, challenging the way things are done, challenging ideas as well.
Right.
And I used to work, one of the things that's really important to me as well is that I used to work in an adventure playground. So I'm all about just, going out and playing and again, enabling children and young people to be who they are. So a lot of my work is about identity, it's about empowerment, it's about challenging who tells you what you can do, the limitations that you might put on yourself because you think that you ought to be a certain way.
Sure.
And I think the thing that happened to me was why the playground is important is because I was working there, been working there under quite difficult situations. You can imagine we worked with anybody who walked through our doors. We worked through with some quite difficult children and young people. They had difficult life experiences.
Okay.
But what happened to me at that time was whilst I was working in the playground, managing a team, not getting any support myself, during that time, I had quite a lot of personal loss. So the first thing that happened was in 2001, my little brother, well, he'd been misdiagnosed for quite a while before that, but he died of bowel cancer.
Oh,
and he was only 33. And he did have a bit of a hedonistic life. He ate really badly. He partied hard, and he probably lived quite a lot on things like Coca-Cola and stuff like that. So in a way, his lifestyle, I think, contributed to the fact that he got bowel cancer so young. So yeah, he died at 30. He died at 33, and that kind of underpinned and underlined what I was doing in terms of looking after myself. At the same time, I got really into training myself in terms of personal training and fitness. And then, the thing carried on in the playground. I carried on working with the kids and it was all kind of okay. But then just about a year later than that, or just over a year later than that, my other brother had an accident on his motorbike and he was on life support for, I think, probably about 11 days. And we had to go through that whole experience of they wouldn't turn his life support off because they wanted to do every single test to make sure that he wouldn't be, he wouldn't have any, I can't really explain it. I don't really understand it, but they have to keep people alive for as long as they can to make sure that there is no life in them type thing.
Sure.
And eventually we managed to get them to turn the life support off. So yeah, that was him. And then the kind of the nail in the coffin, really literally, was then 3 months later, my dad died as well. Yeah, it was a bit of a mad time. And so yeah, I think my dad kind of gave up. He got diagnosed with lung cancer, and he hadn't smoked for very, very many years. But I think that he had just had such a shock from his two sons being killed or dying that he kind of just thought, well, no point in living anymore. So he died as well. And so there was 3 people in my family had died within the space of just about a year and a half. And the one thing I really remember was, because it was around Christmas time, is that I went to a friend's party, and the next morning I couldn't stand up. My back was literally bent like that, 45 degrees. And I had quite a lot of injuries, accidents, because I throw myself around. I'd had a lot of experience of back pain for quite a long time. I'd seen chiropractors, I'd seen osteopaths, and as I said, I trained as well to try and keep myself strong. But waking up with my back at 45 degrees, I was really quite shocked, and I was thinking, what on earth is going on? And then I sat down and I thought to myself, well, actually, this is the body's response to stress. And I will be fine and I will be okay. And if I relax and I just kind of take some time, I'll be okay. And sure enough, I was okay. And so all of these sorts of things kind of contributed to the fact that I got even more into health and wellness, looking after mental state as well, looking after the fact that my mental state, and recognizing actually that, this could take me down, or I could turn it around and look at it in a positive way. So I decided to turn it around, and it was interesting. All that time, all these people around me were like introducing me to other people who's had somebody who died. It was kind of like put you all together so you can all talk together and things like that. And I was like, this is fair enough. This is perhaps how people deal with death, that they can't deal with it themselves. Yeah. And I turned it around, and for me it was that, okay, yeah, it's really sad that my brothers and my dad died, and I'd had all of this stuff happen in a very short space of time. But I had a choice. As I said, I had a choice whether it could take me down, or I had a choice to kind of like turn and think about my life in perhaps a different way. And then I thought, well, kind of you can live your life in a way, live the life that your brothers never had. Yeah. And also, don't sweat the small stuff. That's the thing that I really came out of it for me, is that life is there for living, and live every single day. At that time, it's kind of live every single day as if it was your last, or take every opportunity that you have, and embrace life as much as you can. And then I kind of listened to people around me talking about things that really weren't important in the grand scheme of things. And it wasn't like I went round going, oh, I've had this really terrible thing happen to me, why are you going on about that? But I just observed it, and I thought, okay, people are really, we need to focus on what's important in life and kind of be present. That for me is a key thing. I mean, I trained as an artist years and years ago, and I think that gave me a real strong ability to observe, because what we did was we just look and we notice things, and it was about being present. And for me, it's about being present in the world and living life. Oh, can you see?
You're still.
You can still see me.
I can't. You're fine.
I've got Apple deciding everything's going on the screen, but I'll carry on. Thank you, Apple.
Go away, don't worry.
Go away. Close the program. Everything's going on. So, there I am. Hi again. So, that's the main key thing that I've kind of taken out of that experience. And the next thing that did kind of happen from that was, several months later, I was still working in the playground, running the playground, and we were working under really quite difficult conditions. Sometimes working with our doors locked. We were kind of a bit under siege sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And I had no support. I had no support from a line manager or anything. And one day, this young woman came, and that's what the young people do. They came in and they gave you a really hard time because they were having a really hard time. So that's part of the course. But I was kind of being goaded by this young woman who kept coming in. And one day I just lost it. Okay. And I stood there and I gave her what for, in quite a few swear words involved, telling her basically to do one. And after that, I thought, you can't be here anymore. You can't take this anymore. Look after yourself. Right. So I had the opportunity then. I went abroad, and I spent probably about the best part of a year and a half in 2 blocks, traveling South America, living my life, taking loads of risks, but having the most amazing adventures and meeting the most amazing people. And that was me kind of like, okay, I'm gonna embrace, take the opportunities that I have, and yeah, just kind of like see what else is out there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I did that for quite a while, and at the same time I'd been training as a personal trainer prior to going, because I'd really thought, okay, I want to do that as I was into health and fitness. And then when I came back, I kind of cruised for quite a while. I just thought, you know what, I want a nice life. And I still worked in an organisation that supported children, and I delivered training to people who work with children. But I also was a personal trainer, and I was really into fitness. And then I got sick of doing that, because I was tired of giving the gym most of my every single pound I earned.
Right.
And I got frustrated by the fact that, you know, you can have the most amazing relationships with your clients, but they self-sabotage. If they've got a block, then they self-sabotage. And no matter what you do in terms of health and fitness and diet, it's not going to make any difference.
No,
So,
you mean the mental block, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, their mental block is, if their head was stopping them, if they've got something going on, emotional attachment to their identity around eating, and you know, which expresses itself in eating and things like that, then nothing I would do, unless I was to work with their head and their mindset, which I wasn't paid to do, then it wasn't necessarily going to change. And so that kind of led on to when I had the opportunity to train as a neuro-linguistic programming as a practitioner, and then that was for me, that was it. That's like, this is the magic. And hypnosis, this is the magic that will enable people to change quickly at an unconscious level and rewire their strategies into things that will work for them.
Awesome.
As I did all that training, I thought, okay, can't just kind of leave it on the shelf. Now start my own business. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to put everything together, the whole package around working, because I'm so passionate. All that time I was kind of cruising. I was just reading stuff, reading about the body, reading about nutrition, did a nutrition qualification to kind of like get something that was recognized. And then because underpinning all of that was people, their lifestyles, the stuff that's going on, their emotions, with no judgment on them, is that they're hurting, and there's a lot of, if you can just kind of find the way to the root cause and remove all the emotion of the horrible experiences that they've had, and get them empowered, get them to realize what resources that they have and how amazing they really are, then they can go on and have a really fruitful life, thrive, and just leave all that stuff behind and really turn a corner, and turn it without having to make huge amounts of effort, like in the whole dieting culture and things like that, which don't work. So that's basically it. That was my story.
Yeah. Oh no, thank you so much for sharing it. I love that. I love the way it's sort of come round, because you're already very active yourself, and obviously realise the benefits of it. But then for your brother to unfortunately make himself so poorly, it almost sort of really reiterated it to you, didn't it? You know, that you can't live like that. And I also thought it was interesting what you were saying about, after suffering all those losses, to just, as an artist, observing what was going on around you and the kind of trivial talk. But I think a lot of the time people unconsciously absorb stuff that doesn't matter, but they absorb it on a level that makes them think it does matter, you know. And that just sort of ties back into what you were saying about people thinking that they need to be a certain way or conform to certain social standards, and not allowing themselves, you know, like thinking that they want to lose weight, but there's something in their mind that says I'm not worth it or whatever, and it holds them back on an unconscious level. So that's brilliant. And I love that you're doing all that reading when you were having your sabbatical kind of thing, because it does, you know, you say, oh, you were enjoying yourself, but you were clearly still absorbing all the good stuff, ready for essentially embracing on an NLP journey in a way. Yeah. And so do you still I know you work with people's minds more now, but are you still doing the physical side of things as well?
Yes, I do have. I do personal training. It's interesting. I can't seem to let that, because I love the physical movement. And for me, it's not necessarily about going to the gym. So when I train people at their place of work sometimes. So I do use minimal amounts of equipment, but I'm really into movement. And for me, looking into ideas around human movement, we're in the gym, people's movements are very kind of often very this way, moving this way, and we don't move our bodies diagonally. We don't kind of do, think that children, playful movements, dancing, gymnastics, martial arts, all of those kinds of movements are amazing for your brain as well as your body. So it keeps people young, it makes older people, keep their balance, it works the core, all the core muscles, and it makes people intrinsically strong. I'm a climber, so that sort of thing it's that, how can you move your body through space, and what that does is it gives people a kind of confidence in their body themselves. The fact that they know they are intrinsically strong. It's not about the big muscles, it's about knowing you are intrinsically strong inside, just as you can be intrinsically strong in your mind. And that leads on to this idea for me is about contentment. Rather than having the happiness, it's about being content and kind of knowing that I'm going to be okay, everything's fine, I can deal with this, a kind of quiet resilience.
Sure.
So that's kind of underpins a lot of what I do in terms of the physical stuff as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because socially there's a lot of talk about encouraging being happy, but I kind of prefer the word contentment, really, because for me happiness is like a burst of something, and it's a moment of joy, and then it lasts however long it lasts, a day or a week or whatever, and then usually probably a day, I suppose, and then life carries on. You can't be on that high all the time, but you can create a level of contentment where you're in a better headspace to deal with everything else, really. Full in your own skin.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to the meditative state. Buddhism, it's about some degree of acceptance, but knowing that you can control stuff as well, knowing that you are in control of your life, you can make the decisions, and you do have the choices ultimately. Because I'm really all about as well personal responsibility, and I'm a bit of a pushing the critical thinking as well, because I've always challenged things most of my life. And all of those things, again, are quite empowering to people. And it's not about going out and fighting all the time, but it's about knowing that, ultimately you can make those decisions should you want to make them.
Yeah.
And being happy in your skin. Yeah.
I love that, especially the word you use there, empowering, because when you say to most people about taking responsibility, I think sometimes they feel like it's not a sense of judgment, but a kind of like, if you say you've got to take responsibility, it's like you're saying you're in the wrong, or but actually, even when 99% of the situation is kind of out of your control, if you tell yourself that you're going to take responsibility for it, and you look for the things that you can do rather than just accepting this thing that you can't control, if you look for the ways you can navigate around it, you feel so much better, rather than being I don't really want to say a victim, but like being held beneath your circumstances. If you take control, it makes you feel so much better.
I mean, in NLP we call it cause, whether you're at cause or effect.
Okay.
So if you're at cause, you cause the place where you're at, you cause your life, you make your decisions. If you're at effect, it's that everything outside you is causing what's going on within you. And that's a disempowering, again, without using the word victim, but it's a disempowering place to be, because you're kind of giving the decision making to somebody else. Somebody else is going to kind of control what's going to happen to you, and it's really disempowering. So as I said, it's always been about I cause my life. I take charge of my life. I make my life, and we make our lives, really. And that's not to say we're going to be going around happy all the time, and life is very, very challenging, and it is absolutely fine to have obviously bad days and grief, going through the grieving process. All those sorts of processes are really important. And when people are ill as well, there's a process of illness, there's a process people go, and it's a kind of journey.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be a massively long journey. And that's the difference. Is some people think I'm going to be ill for God knows for years or however long, and it doesn't have to be like that, because I personally believe we are incredible. We are designed to heal ourselves. Our body heals itself continuously. It's continuously regenerating. So therefore, given the opportunity, because again, if we have so many stresses in our lives, then it's going to be more difficult. And it's about kind of identifying how to de-stress areas of our lives, or take the pressure off in different areas of our lives, to be able to focus on healing as well. Because I don't, I'm not like, okay, wave a magic wand, you can do anything, against any odds. Recognize that we do have to make choices as well, and we have to kind of recognize where the pressure points are and change those as well. And that's what I do with my clients too.
Brilliant. What's the name of your company?
Above Beyond Coaching and NLP Training.
Brilliant. I'll share links to that at the end, because I'm sure there's going to be people that want to know more about that. But thank you so much for joining me today, and it's been really interesting hearing your story. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's lovely speaking to you, Pollyanna. Nice to meet you, even virtually.
Yeah. Most people I'm meeting virtually at the moment. Yeah. If you like this video, please do hit the like and subscribe button, and you'll get notifications when new videos are uploaded. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. If you search @BeGladMovement, you should be able to find us. Please do get in touch if you've got a story to share. Really doesn't matter if it's a story that's similar to somebody else's, because I really do believe your story in your voice has the ability to help someone in their time of need. So please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you in another episode. Many thanks.